Perfect. Great. And I'm just going to sniffle away in the background here. So for those of you that are here, thank you so much for coming. And for those people that didn't get in, they're going to get a link of this recording. Hopefully people will continue to come in. I've sent out the link now 3 times. I don't know how I'm doing this wrong all the time, but here we are. So this is CJay, and CJay specializes in technology, and especially in assisted technology. And you're working in a school, are you, CJay?
Yeah, in autistic school up in Lockleson.
Okay, cool. What's the school called?
Balliol Meadows.
Cool. So and so would you you use AAC yourself, did you, when you were younger?
Yeah, and so did my little sister. I kind of designed some stuff, and I'm bringing it into the school at the minute to try and help a lot of the users who it could really benefit.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to suggest, I'm going around kind of muting you as you all come in, but just make sure you keep an eye on your mute. And I'm going to go ahead and offer the floor over to CJay, who is going to share her knowledge with us. And I would love for you to ask questions if you have specific questions. This is completely outside of my depth, what we're doing tonight. And I think as parents yourselves, those of you attending are going to have the right kinds of questions for your needs. So please feel free to ask. And my plan is, if you put them into the chat, that I can ask them to CJay anonymously, but you're very welcome to ask yourself also. So if you're happy to speak up, you can just raise your hand and I'll pause. Maybe if it's a good time to pause, I'll pause. Otherwise, we'll save them for the end and you guys can fire away. So you might just keep some notes, but if something is really pressing or she touches on something that's, kind of immediate for you, then definitely feel free to sort of raise your hand and we'll see if we can get to you that way. So I hope that's clear enough. So yeah, please feel free to put your questions into the chat there and I'll ask them anonymously if you'd rather do it that way. All right, CJay, over to you.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to share my screen so you can just let me know that it's all working okay once I get it on here. Do that. So is that working okay? I think you might have muted yourself on that one as well. Let me see.
Yeah, we can see your slides.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Michelle, I think you muted, yeah.
I did, and so yammering away into space. So
no
just say, everybody, there's CJay's details, and she is happy to answer specific questions if we don't get to them tonight as well. So you might just quick screenshot what she's got there before she gets rolling. I'm going to periodically mute myself to blow my nose, so you don't have to.
No worries. Okay, so I actually can't see the comment section at the minute just because I'm in share mode and doing this. So feel free, Michelle, to just kind of ask me to pause.
I'll jump in if it becomes important, but off you go.
Perfect.
And we'll just get going on your thing.
And just before we start, so I know I speak very fast. I'm trying really hard to speak slowly, so please do tell me if it's too fast and let me know. Also, like I say, I can't see the comments or anything at the minute, so feel free just to tell me to pause if you need. Okay, so first off, so who am I? Basically, I'm CJay. I'm 29 from Dublin. I have a big brother and 2 little sisters, and this is Millie, my dog, on screen, but also she's just here behind me. She may just jump up at some point. She's like a support animal, not trained in it, just knows what she's doing. And I have 3 axolotls. Random fact about me. Axolotls are like my favorite things. If you don't know what they are, you need to Google them. They're pretty awesome.
Is that like a lizardy type thing?
They actually are in water, but they can breathe in and out of water, and this is one of my special interests. So I'm going to stop myself there because I will go on all night about it. So it's one of those things, but they're really fascinating, and you should have a look into them. They're really cool. So I won some awards in assistive technology with my college for projects I designed, and then from AIR for the disability champion and stuff for a while. But technically, I'm not qualified in this area, so this is all just from my point of view and like growing up with using these devices and different things that I'm going to kind of show you tonight. So as it says, I have ADHD and autism and severe dyslexia, among like everything else. My dad says I have more letters after my name than a doctor, so take from that what you will. But yeah, I'm really proud of it now. I think when I was only diagnosed late in life, but I really struggled with it, and I didn't really know what was wrong with me necessarily. I always kind of saw it that way because I really struggled in school and stuff. And then when I found this passion and a passion for computers and stuff, it just really changed everything. And now it's just something I really enjoy doing, and sharing with others and stuff too. So when I was younger, I taught myself computers, and not knowing I was really dyslexic, they just said I was stupid, and I couldn't read things. I got the computer to read the homework to me, and I found ways around it like this. So that's why I would be quite passionate about this side of things. And my younger sister was told she'd never walk, talk, read, or write, or any of those things, and yet she does all those now because we put in place some different tools. And I know that that's not the story for everybody, and but hopefully there'll be something in here for you as well. So I've done a wide overview of what assistive technology is or can be, and about some AAC device type things as well, and some tips and stuff that I have. So I'll jump on with it. So what is AT and AAC? Little animation there. You can tell ADHD head, I have to keep myself focused. So assistive technology is an umbrella term. Basically, you can read it there for yourselves, but the way I would describe it is it's technology or devices or paper and different things to help us get through the day. So like fidgets and stuff can count as well. Glasses can be assistive technology. It doesn't have to be tech. But there are all these things that help us to function and be independent or to function with others. And then AAC is, I can never say this very properly, augmentative and alternative communication. So obviously speech is usually the most common, but actually really we use our body language so often as well, and that can be a form of communication too. And there's plenty of others as we're gonna go down along the way here, but it's all about like finding the right approach and strategy for you or for the individual you're trying to help, so that they can have a voice and communicate, which is so important. So some of the benefits, so there's plenty more, but some of the main ones that I've seen on this Talk to Me technology site is about how easy it is to like customize things. You can use like 1 or 2 pictures, or you can have your device, you can type. There's kind of plenty of ways, plenty more information kind of along the way about some of those, but how important it is that it's customizable and personal. Like the way I put in a picture of Millie and stuff too, because for me, Millie's someone I would, or a dog that I would talk about a lot and stuff, and having that kind of being allowed to talk about that makes you want to talk and makes you want to communicate with others. And for me, that's a really important thing about this. AAC and AT can be so personalized, which is really important. So I've noticed in the school I work in particular, it's very like high need, and having AAC just helps the students to be a lot less frustrated, and it actually helps a lot of the behavior problems that we see. So that's obviously really helpful, and the independence of being able to ask for a drink when you want to drink, or to go to the toilet, or different things like that is also very important on it. So, and it can improve our educational and social outcomes. So like if you think about it, going to another country and you don't know the language can be what it's somewhat like to like not be able to know how you use your voice yet, or not have people respect how your voice is heard, whether that's through tech or through writing it down or pointing at different things. So I think it's really important that we kind of like encourage all the different types of communication and let everybody have a voice in that. So these are just a few types of them. There's like a ton, but just in case you didn't know. So there's button switches are some, there's like iPads, there's lower tech ones, which is just paper with like letters and different stuff on it. You can have, sorry, my computer decided to just like do something weird there. You can have picture boards. So I know some kids that have like pictures of their family, of their favorite food, and they'll just point to what they want. It doesn't necessarily verbally say it for them, but that's okay. It's exactly how like they need it right now, and then they'll move on. There's yeah, like glasses can be another form. Assistive technology also can be like your headphones. So it doesn't always have to be techie, even though a lot of them there look techie. There's the low tech options as well of paper and even writing it down. And some of the boards with the letters goes along, and you just point at the letters that you're trying to say, and then the person will kind of keep up with you, and then you hit space on it. So it's kind of like having a keyboard and things. Some other examples are these are the low tech ones I was talking about. So maybe it's kind of a beginner one if the person is, I know some elderly people who would use these a bit more as well, and you can see it has like new word or mistake or start again, so it has the kind of bits that they need. And sometimes they might like shorten something down, like we have abbreviations like BRB when we're texting be right back. They can do something like that too, and it makes it nice and simple. It's also really handy to have this, or well, depending on the level that the user's at, to have this or another like paper form or like printed out form of some sort of communication as well, because as much as I love technology, unfortunately, it doesn't always work how it's meant to. And having another option is great, because otherwise the person loses their voice if the device loses battery or if breaks or anything like that. So just to avoid certain situations, the tip would be to have a printable version too. I know for a lot of the teenagers I work with as well, and adults, they feel that the device is a lot more like grown up and is a lot more discreet, and they can do it whatever way they want. But it's always good just to have a backup to save any problems. So some built-in software that a lot of people don't realize are in phones and iPads and different things are ones that are up on the screen there. But some of the ones I find the most helpful are timers. You can have visual timers. There's an app for everything now, like, so there's apps for all these things. And even an on-screen home button, if you find it hard to press buttons, or if your button on your phone breaks, so handy. There's a little button and it's on your screen, and it'll bring you back to home, or it can bring you to different places. Text to speech is built in to all devices, and a lot of people don't realize that, and they go and buy these really expensive ones. So later on, I'll show you, I pointed down as if you could see, I meant later in the PowerPoint. I'll show you how to use some of these ones that are free and built in already, because I know different devices can be quite expensive, but in saying that, they are hugely worth it as well. Then speech to text as well. That's another one I'll show a little bit later too, that I find really helpful. Or who doesn't love a good voice note? I know everyone says they hate their voice on these things, but I think they're so helpful. And with being severely dyslexic, honestly, they're lifesavers. So, and a lot of them I think we use without even really realizing that you use them, like your calendar or different things like that as well. They're all really helpful for everyday use. So let's look at how to use some of these. So I don't know if any of you feel like Homer right now, but I know my parents don't know technology and don't understand how to use it. So basically, this was during The Simpsons, it was to start, press any key. And for me, being quite literal, I was literally like, where's the any key? What is this? And so it's a real good point to kind of even think of, is that like not everyone's on the same level as you. Even though I love IT, I don't always get the instructional bit of stuff. So I guess like something I would really just kind of warn people on is that you can start wherever you are. It's like with drawing, I say to kids, like, draw a stick man. It doesn't matter. Once you get across what you're trying to say or what you want to communicate, then that's it. You don't have to be an artist, you know? Same with technology and same with these things. You can start from anywhere. You don't have to be a tech genius to be able to do a lot of these things. There's a lot of low tech options, and then you can move up as you go. But if it is something that scares you because your kid is getting more technologically advanced than you are, I would advise just to Google and like learn some stuff about these things, which is why I assume you're here as well. But it's not something to worry about or kind of be afraid of. It does feel very overwhelming at first. So this one is one I find pretty helpful again, and this is just a little idea. So I've sent on the PowerPoint in PDF form, so I'm sure you can get a copy of that if you want to save you writing all this down. But just a quick version of this is it's already built in, and there's like your notes app. I use this one when I'm starting to do my college work and I have an idea on the bus, but I can't type as fast as my brain is going. It's not fun. So I instead will go here to the little microphone, and once it's enabled, I can click this and speak into it. Now, it does learn your voice. So it starts to learn and pick up on different words that you use and different things like this, which is really helpful because I speak so fast and then have really Dublin mannerisms and words. I think that sometimes it doesn't understand me and it writes some pretty crazy things. But it is more helpful though to be able to speak into it, for it to write the majority and me to kind of go back over and just fix a few bits. So yeah. there's that one. I find that one really helpful. Then we have in the accessibility of this is the Apple accessibility, but it's actually a lot in Microsoft as well and Windows and things. There is the speed rating. So how when I'm online and reading an article or have to read something for college or something, I can hold a word and I can let it speak to me. So especially if I'm struggling just to read that one word, or sometimes you're writing something, I don't know if you find this, and it offers you a grammar or a spelling check. I'm always like, well, if I didn't know how to spell it in the first place, how am I going to know which word to connect, like click when they all look so alike? Like choose and chose and all these other ones. There's like plenty of them. So this is a great tool for that. You're able to just hear it really quick, but also it's built in and it's free. And this is something that a lot of my friends would use as well, not just for college, but they have situational mutism or selective mutism, where anxiety can become really overwhelming. So they'll write their messages and they'll speak it out to the person in situations like the doctor's office or things like that. So it can be helpful for everyday use, and it can be helpful just for if you're really dyslexic and you just need an extra help choosing a word. I can see there's some chat, so I can't see what the chat is. So if there's anything you want me to stop and pause with or anything, just let me know.
Don't worry, CJay, it's just me and I'm just communicating with people. I've moved the PowerPoint down in the chat box now. Hopefully it's more visible. So that was all that was about.
Oh, no worries. I just want to make sure there wasn't something, just in case it was telling me to slow down, So these are some of the accessibility features in Windows as well. Again, free and built in. I find the closed caption one in this is actually really great. It does also give you a laugh. Just for an example, I was on a Skype call to somebody from Northern Ireland, and I can't even tell you what they said, but the captions came up at the end and said something that was just a bit inappropriate, and I was like, oh no, I have to keep concentrating on the two. So it's helpful as well though for myself to keep concentrating and things as well with the closed captions underneath, like having the subtitles. And you can also choose whether the closed captions, the color of the background, the color of the text, and how big you want it, and stuff like that. Or if you're in a situation where you need to have the thing on mute, it's a really good accessibility feature then, because you can just read what's kind of happening. So I forgot my headphones on the bus and I had to listen to a lecture. I had to be logged on, so I was able to at least have those on. So there's little tricks in it that are good. Narrator is another great one from Windows, and I think other laptops have it as well. But basically, I have a problem with my eyes where I'm actually losing my eyesight and going blind. So technology is something I've been really looking into for that. And basically, narrator on days where my eyes are a lot more sore. So I'm looking this direction at the minute, and I know the camera's here, but that's because I have a giant screen here and it really helps me, so I don't need the narrator on right now. But if I just had my laptop screen, which is here, I would need it to tell me which app icons are which, because the colors just mix for me. So it's quite nice. And the color and high contrasting you can change as well, and have the magnifier if it's not a space where I can use the narrator. So these are all, like I say, built in, completely accessible, free tools, which I think is like really important, and could even be beginner steps on the way to kind of getting used to technology and different accessibility features. So, okay, so this is what I was asked for mostly, was some tips on if you're just getting started in the world of AT and AAC and all these devices. It can be quite daunting, as I've said before as well. So these are some tips that I feel are really important. Now, you could Google and get something absolutely opposite to this, but this is just from my experience and with my sister and the kids I work with and stuff. And being somebody who is neuro-spicy as well and likes to use these things, I just think these are some really important ones. So I hope they help. Okay, so it's not all about the fancy tech. As we spoke about, you can use these like boards. There's these buttons. I don't know if you've ever seen them, where the kids or the adults or the user in general can just click and press the buttons they need to communicate what they want. And for that, for some as well, if reading isn't quite up to, say, the place it needs to be, having a color coded system they can know is also really helpful. So that's a really good one. Also, I've seen these buttons being used with like dogs who are like extremely smart online. I don't know if anyone else seen these, but like the dog can tell you they want to go out to the bathroom and stuff. So like accessibility and AAC is clearly not only for humans. So it's very fun. So you can get your pets involved. I've tried with Millie. It's not really happening. So then there's these, please give me a little time to think. This is a button or a badge. So on me now today, I have this one, which is one of my favorites. So I have a load. I don't know if you can see this one, but basically it's your social battery. So basically it'll tell someone if I am not in the humor to be speaking to them, or just in general, like I don't have much energy left, or spoons, as I know a lot of people call them. And then this one is just more of a, like, I like it because it kind of symbolizes the whole like neurodiversity kind of thing. And like, it's nice because I've had some people who maybe were as nervous as I was starting college come up and be like, oh, hey, I love your badge. And oh, so like, where do you fall in this? And like, you automatically can connect. And I think that that's the really big thing with AAC, right? And why we like do this is for communication. And so for me, I find those conversations really hard to start, but you want to be able to make friends. So it's a really nice little kind of way of having that. And also there's ones that can say, like, I've like got ones like neuro-spicy and like all these other different kind of ones. This is another favorite of mine. So I only just got this and I've been kind of trying it out with some of the kids. I don't know if you can see this. So basically it's got a little arrow to keychain, and they can turn it to any of the feelings that they're feeling, or if they need the bathroom is on it, go home, yes or no. When I lost my voice, this was particularly useful. And again, I'm not worrying about it running out of battery or anything. So they're just a couple of like non-fancy tech kind of options that are quite helpful.
Sorry, CJay, can I just ask where would people get those sorts of things?
Okay, cool. I'm allowed to say, okay, I wasn't sure if you're allowed to promote that kind of thing or whatever.
We're
So
allowed to
these
say
ones,
good things. We're not allowed to say bad things. So don't tell us
okay,
about the people you hate.
no, perfect. That's okay. I just wanted to check for you. So, like Amazon is always one you can always get these things on. They're not very well priced though for anything that says sensory, I'm sure you know, or any sort of like communication aids and stuff. They seem to put the price up. I look in places that are just kind of around, or like I know Wish, but you'll be waiting until next Christmas to get them from Wish, so it's a bit tricky. But this is from Temu, Temu, I think it is, and it's apparently it's Irish, and it only takes like a week or two, and everything kind of came in one, and it's very reasonably priced, and the quality is actually quite good. It hasn't broken yet. So are all the pins actually as well, and a lot of my stuff. Another one I would use is like t-shirts to communicate my mood, like, which is very random, but it's another form of AAC. So this one says, every day my head goes and it's a goat screaming ah. So it's meant to be very loud. So I get a lot of my t-shirts like this, or with kind of funny, like quirky kind of designs and stuff like that on it from QWERTY, which is another really good one that have like reasonable price and stuff. I find Tiger and things, you can get like the buttons, and you can get sensory stimmy kind of things, and as well, that I would use for a lot of AAC as well. But yeah, small plugs. Then my like main tip would be, if you don't hear anything else, is just like get to know your device. So obviously all the devices are different, but it's really important to get to know what yours can do, because before you know it, your kid will get to know what yours can do. If that's what you're here for learning as well. That's one thing we've learned in skill. But for me, I've learned playing around with things and not being afraid to get it wrong means you find some really amazing features sometimes that some of these apps offer. And that can also be really helpful. So watching some YouTube tutorials maybe on the device, or like different things like that, or just asking somebody. Maybe there's a lot of really great on the Facebook groups, and I'm sure maybe with yourselves and as well, different people might know certain things a bit more about certain devices, or even the like how to use some of the lower tech things, or just their opinion on it as well, because they could have a complete different opinion to I could. Like I know a very common device in our school is the Tobii Dynavox. And we use the TD Snap app. They used to use the Grace one as well, but we found that TD Snap had a lot more. It was updated to a bit more current, and people could play their music through it and use it to ask for different things like that, and social stories and things. So all these devices are constantly like updating and having new features and new things with them. So I guess it's important to keep up with it as well. And if you're unsure, just ask. There's no point, suffering alone in it, because maybe someone's wondering the same thing. So sorry, my little bar is in my way of this one.
Do you mind if I interrupt you one more time?
Yeah, no problem, Jim.
I'm just trying to put a link up for parents here, and I went to temu.com. What do I look for? Like, I put in autism and I put in buttons, but like, what did you search for to find those buttons?
That would have been like a 2 a.m. search, ADHD
Okay.
search. So I'd say I put in something along the lines of like I put in like neurodiverse or like neuro-spicy even at some points, or communication badges, different things like that kind of tend to, it comes up
Cool.
with a lot of
Perfect.
those as well.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna find something to link in here. You keep going.
No worries. So the bar is in the way at the top of this thing. Yeah, so basically, oh yeah, I remember what I wrote. Keep your devices close by and try and take advantage to use it in every situation, basically. So, I know some people think that the devices or the boards, or like, I'm not sure if people still use PECs and stuff. I know we don't as much, but like the likes of these, like people kind of use them in certain situations rather than, my advice would be to have them on you at all times. So like, if I didn't have a device on me, I usually tend to keep this on me, the little key ring, so that if I do even meet somebody, and maybe their device has gone down or a child wants to tell me something, I actually put this keychain onto my zip pocket of my trousers for work, so that if I don't have a PEX book on me, because some of the kids use PEC, or if I don't have their devices or a communication board, I can at least offer something, because communication is two ways, and I don't want to be just guessing constantly, because that's frustrating for them. But obviously any sort of attempt is a good attempt. Well, you'd hope. So yeah, but I just say use it in any situation you can possibly, like asking someone what they want for dinner, or you yourself just like communicating something what you maybe see as small, it can be really helpful for as well. So this one I'll be quite have quite strong feelings on. So my opinion would be to never take away anybody's AAC or use it as a punishment or reward. So I've been in schools, and I've been in certain other situations with people who believe that like the iPad is a reward situation. So I agree with the first end when it comes to doctor's visits, and then we do doctors and then we do playground. Everyone loves a reward. I totally get that. But at the same time, doing it for, say, in school when it's first work, then iPad. Now I get it if the iPad is for games and it's for fun, but personally I would say if it's a communication device, it should be with the person at all times, and we don't have any right to take it from them, or to even like, I would say go as far as saying that in work we won't even like pick up another child's communication device or board or anything unless it's on the ground, obviously, and someone's going to stand in it or something. But you wouldn't pick it up and touch it because that's theirs. And say you had a diary and you're writing something, you wouldn't want people taking it and reading it, right? Because they can do anything they kind of want on these ones. Obviously parental controls is a different thing, so hear me out on this one when I say this, but I just believe that it shouldn't be used as a like, first behave and you can have this, or they should be able to have access to their voice at all times like we can, or like most people can. So yeah, some people don't always agree with that one, but yeah. So I would say the next biggest one is talk to the person, or for you, use your form of communication. Don't let somebody tell you that you can't, I think, is mine if it's for you. Because when I have like that, I think it's called like selective mutism or something as well, when my anxiety gets the better basically of me, sometimes writing's too hard, I'm dyslexic as well, but speaking, like the words just don't come out, or I'll stutter and I get a bad stammer and stuff. But I find there's situations where people maybe don't have the time or don't necessarily respect that, and I would say that maybe we need to change that, because not all forms of communication is through our voice, as we've said. But and for, if you're working with a kid or you have your own child as well then who's using this, I would just say, just try your best to just be patient with them and give them a chance to figure and help them figure out another way to communicate it. So for me, when I'm upset or something as well, like, and I'm trying to process what's going on in my head, I will draw, which really helps. So that's another form of communication for me, because it can speak on so many kind of levels, but in terms of like the person I'm speaking to in school, like a kid, if they are very upset as well, I'll offer them a piece of paper to try and draw and kind of come and tell me what's going on that way, because maybe words just aren't what's suiting them. Or they can use their device, but you just have to be patient with them on that, and then I'll write back on the device if it's okay with them. I will always ask them first, or have my own like app or something on mine so I can communicate back, because maybe they don't want me touching it, and that's fair, it's theirs, they shouldn't have to share it if they don't want to that way. Yeah, so for me that's kind of a big one too. It's just meeting people where they're at basically. So demonstrating. So for in work, we'll try and use it as often as possible. And when we ask a question, we try for more than even just a yes, no. We'll try for like do you want the red apple or the green apple, and letting them click the answer. And it's just encouraging them again to respond to everything and using it as often as possible and just modeling how to do it. But my big thing would be not to force them to press the answer. If they just point to the apple and tell me which one they want on the table rather than on the device, that's fine. They'll use the device when they're ready for it, or they'll let you know if that is not how they're going to communicate. And my opinion on that would be, don't push it and don't force it, because, you know, that's like someone trying to ask, saying, oh, well, we're Irish, like you have to speak Irish back to me now and speaking Irish at me. Like, I would freak out. So if the person doesn't want to use the device or use the form of communication that I'm offering, then I'm going to try and find another way and just keep modeling the different ones. It could be nerves, or there could be different reasons, and kind of trying to track through that is really important. But I would just say, just trying our best not to force the device on them, but to model everything as we go and show that like we're using it with them and give them the opportunity is something that's really important. So yeah, and on that, kind of acknowledging all attempts at communication of any sort as well, whether it's nonverbal, it's spoken, or it's using the device as well. And this is a big one in school. Some of our kids, or some people, I even can do it with certain accents. I'll repeat it, like echo the word they said, because I think like it just gives you like a brain stim. It's just really nice. But so some kids will do the same with their device, and some, I know some adults that do too. And they'll just keep pressing the same thing, and people think they're just stimming with it, but actually they're still attempting to use the device and to communicate with us. So I think it's really important to listen to that, and just acknowledge all forms of the communication, whether it's stimming or not, even when they're pressing it. But just saying, oh, thanks for telling me, and do you want to tell me anything else about it, maybe, if they're starting to stim with it, trying to like bring some more conversation to it rather than like being like, okay, that's enough now. You know, because it's just really important too, because they get that feedback from us then, and they know it's good they tried. So my big one would be have fun with it. So this is one of my favorite things to do with the kids as well, like that, or even with teenagers or even adults. I'm kind of showing things to as well. I'll ask them a bit about themselves and like their lives. And I mean, we all have funny sayings or like gifs that we like, or different things, or, you know, funny TikToks they've seen and things. So I try and turn them into a picture that they can press, and then when they press it or point to it, we can watch that TikTok, or we can see that video, or we say that word in the word, like kind of bye Felicia kind of thing that they do, because it's just fun. And all communication should be like, it's two-way, but it should be fun, and it should be something they want to do and not that they like have to do. It's a good thing that people want to communicate with us. So like having things like FOMO in there, when we understand it, like letting the button press it and show that it says the word FOMO, like why shouldn't they speak like their friends, or like why shouldn't we speak like others speak as well, and not just have it computerized, you know? So this is one I really like. So these were by who made these ones? It's the Tobii Dynavox guys, but it's under their Board Maker label. So sometimes you can get these. So sometimes if you can't find these on the device, because you probably can't, you have to add them separately. But it's just a case of asking somebody to kind of help. I find this is a great way of getting teenagers involved in it as well, and showing these little things like adorbs and stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I had to Google some things that I found along the way, like low key. But we've got some fun ones, and making your own and personalizing it, as I said before, to kind of be the device that you need it to be, I guess. This is a big one, especially for yourself if you're not a big kind of tech person, or you're someone who struggles to communicate and stuff as well. I guess it's just keep calm and try and use different forms of AAC. There's so many, like this is just a completely broad overview of this topic. I could go into so much detail about each of them. It was hard to pick what to put in. But like you may not find the right one for you at first, or for your child, and that's okay. I just would encourage you just to keep calm and keep trying it. Like there's going to be days you just want to throw it out the window because it's wrecking your head, but I think like there is ways around it too, and it's talking to SLTs and people that know, or maybe their school, and asking what way they communicate most there, or for yourself figuring out how you feel most comfortable, and knowing the big thing is that to know that it may change from day to day. It could change what kind of communication you use, and that's okay, because we all use multiple types every day without even realizing it most of the time. So yeah, so in conclusion of kind of what I had there for me, something that's really important to kind of realize is for neurotypicals is the way I would put it, but maybe it's just for people who know devices or different things. Technology makes things easier, but for neurodivergent individuals, accessibility and like assistive technology gives us a voice and makes it possible for us to like be who we are and show who we are. Whether that's through my t-shirts or through a device which is actually using my voice, or there's so many ways, drawing or anything else. It's all communication, and it's all important because we all get to share something about ourselves. So yeah, and it just lets everyone to have independence and actually have access to the same means that we have. So yeah, that's me. If you've any questions, I'm happy to answer. Sorry if that felt rushed at all. I'm happy to go back over anything.
That's so great, CJay, and like it's so generous of you to put up the excuse me, the PDF as well, that people can download and like kind of go over it in their own time as well. So yeah, I mean, I also talk fast, you do talk fast, but you covered a lot in a really short amount of time, so thank you for that. I know that there at least one person out there has a question. Peter, do you want to unmute yourself and ask, or would you rather me ask?
What have I done? I can ask.
Yeah, off you go.
Hi, CJay.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, my question was it was quite specific about a particular AAC device
Yeah,
or
work away.
called LAMP.
Yeah.
And my boy, he's 10, is just kind of getting going on it. And yeah, I suppose it's at the start. And do you have experience of LAMP? And is there apps that you would recommend over other apps? Or is it completely, you just kind of said that you got to try so many things to make it work. So
yeah, which seems unfortunate and very frustrating, but it's true. But in my opinion, of testing and trying out a lot of these apps, don't get me wrong, they all have good qualities and different things, but for me, I think what beats them all has to be Tobii Dynavox. Whether you buy the actual like device itself with the software on it, or you just download the app, it's a one-time payment, which for me again is really super important, because we shouldn't have to be able to communicate, or for us to be able to our children to be able to be involved in different things, they shouldn't have to be like paying a monthly subscription. It's ridiculous, the price of different things when it comes to accessibility. But with Tobii, it's €60 if I'm not mistaken, once off, and it's great. It does literally anything you can think of. It's the most customizable. It gets updated constantly with new things. Online, you can go on if you know how, or like I'd be happy to do other talks on like how to use some of the devices and stuff. But with things you can download for certain teams, like, and then online they give out free things on their Facebook, like a printable version of like a bracelet which has the pictures on it for Halloween trick-or-treating, so you don't have to go around carrying the device there. And they're the guys who made those ones that I put up there with their board maker for like the By Felicia and some other bits. So they're very current, and they have stuff for like the rugby that was just on, and like all these other things that you can really customize it. And so in my opinion, they would be best, because it does way more than I can even kind of explain in this like short talk as well. Like it has so many features, and you can control music from it, and it just gives a lot more independence than any other app I found, and I've tested pretty much them all just out of interest as well. So
okay. And then just sorry, just to finish that, do you know about LAMP? Just because we have it, and what do you think of LAMP? Have you
I'm allowed to share my opinion on this?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. I wasn't sure, because I like when I do other ones, you're like not allowed to say certain things. So yeah, LAMP, it's good. It wouldn't be one of the best ones in my opinion, for different reasons. It's not as customizable as say Tobii, or even like some of the basic ones that you can just get on your phone for free. It has a lot of crashing and kind of problems in it and stuff too that I find. But as a tool as a whole, like if that's what he's working on, obviously like stick with it. It has a core board feature, which is very helpful in a positive side of things. There's not as much help and accessibility to it online, is what I would say, compared to say Tobii. There's a lot of videos on YouTube. There's a lot more people that know it. It's worldwide known. So if like, you know, in that kind of side of things with languages, if a family is only kind of learning English, or they have two languages and stuff, it's very helpful for those. But LAMP, I find, doesn't offer as much of that, or as much customizing and stuff like that in it. Like, I don't know if that's helpful.
That is helpful. He's just started. So that's great. Thank you
No
very
problem
much.
at all.
Now, is there anyone else out there? I think there's somebody that's appreciating you right here, saying she really enjoyed your presentation. It was very interesting, and her daughter is a TD Snap user, brings her so much happiness. Wish you could do this presentation in her school, in every school. That's pretty much how most parents feel. Is can you please tell the schools?
No bother, you tell them and I'll come. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Does anybody else have a you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask, or you can put it in the chat.
Yeah, so I just had one was a comment just to say thank you so much. It's really insightful. My daughter actually goes to Ballyone Meadows School. She's in the early intervention class.
Oh,
And she's
nice.
just
That's awesome.
starting on PECs. So we've bought an iPad and we're trying out a couple of different technologies. So it's really good to hear your recommendations. We're going to give that a go with her as well.
Awesome. That's really great to know. And they have a good team with the SLTs and all, but as everyone knows in this country, obviously getting SLTs appointments and different things is very difficult, and the waiting list of everything. But just so you're aware, just that PECs and say AAC would be two different things and would have two different kind of beliefs. Yeah, just because not everyone kind of has that awareness to it. I know I mentioned it in it because some people do use it, and that's fair. Me personally, I would steer as far away as possible from it, just because of different experiences I've kind of had with it, and because of the reward-based system of it, that would be a bit more believing of come to me and you can have this sweet, rather than them wanting the sweet so they come to you, rather, you know, like it's like you have to communicate to get the thing rather than having the device to communicate. But our school is actually working on this at the minute, and we've just had some SLTs in to talk about that and things as well, and Ireland's only becoming very aware of it not being very reward-based communication and actually it being like the person wanting to communicate. So PECS comes from an ABA standpoint, which a lot of neurodiverse would be kind of against and things. But again, it's each person's personal preference. It's just to make you aware.
Thank you. No, that's great to hear. Thank you very much.
I'm just noticing in the chat there, CJay, and I'm going to move on to another question in a second, but somebody is saying that you help them to use help them to use their device. Is this something that you do kind of part-time or in the background? Like if a parent contacted you and said, I really need some help, do you have an hour to support me? Is that something that you do for a side job?
Oh, yes. Oh, I know who that is. Yeah. Yeah, her son is in our school, so I met that way. We have a good kind of connection, and I just so happened to mention that I could kind of fix it. Yeah, I do that for parents a lot, or for even older people who just are locked out of their Google accounts. Just kind of doing a bit of anything, you know, or teaching people kind of IT, so it's the world's just more accessible for people. I'd be more than happy to. My contact details are there. I am employed full-time by the school now, so, and I'm in college, so a little bit less time. But I'd be more than happy to help at any point that I can. The only thing I would say is that with being a student and everything as awful as it sounds, I would tend to like kind of charge a parent, just because it does take a while to fix these devices and things. If it's to teach them, I have like a fixed kind of rate or whatever as well, where I try and go, or I teach kids one-to-one. But that's how I kind of make some income on side of being an SNA, because I'm sure you know we're not very well paid.
Yeah,
so
no,
it's
that's
good
so
to go
fair,
to
CJay, and people need to be paid for their work. So I 100% respect
But I
that.
try and keep it as reasonable as possible. And obviously, like we talk through, and I do the first one for free with like meeting the parents. They're talking about what we need before, like I don't charge for that, because we need to see if we're compatible, or me and the kid are compatible, because that's only fair. So I hope that makes sense. I just don't want to give anyone the idea that they will get me 24/7 or anything as well.
No, that's awesome. And at the top of CJay's PowerPoint, or if you loaded that PDF down into your computer, it has her phone number and her contact. So you can negotiate whatever you guys need to work out together and see if it works for you. But you're dead right, CJay. You should definitely charge for your skills and your expertise. We all do. Okay, so someone else here. So somebody's saying that they use lamps and that they agree with a lot of what you said about it, but that its motor plan is really helpful for those that are looking for a helpful motor plan.
Can you explain slightly more on what exactly
Roseanne,
they mean a motor plan, whoever it is?
Would you like to speak about that, Roseanne, or would you rather stay quiet?
If not, you can message me if you like, and then I might be able to suggest another app, or to suggest if Tobii has the same feature that you're talking about, but I'm just slightly unsure what the motor plan is. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. No, my son started off with LAMP, and we did absolutely come across what you were saying, that it wasn't as customizable. So we actually use two apps. We use TD Snap.
We just lost you.
I was about to say, I don't know if that was my connection.
No,
She did go, right? Okay.
Are you there, Roseanne? Okay, we lost her. Anyway.
No way, she can jump back in after if it helps. Or
Yeah.
just send me a message if you want.
Okay.
Oh, you're back. I heard you.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. It's just kind of like when you're texting and your finger just knows where it goes. That's kind of like what I equate with LAMP. Like you learn where everything is and nothing
I
ever
getcha.
moves. And then you can quite easily go.
Yeah, I think the end just slightly cut out there again. But if I understood what you're saying properly, yeah, I work with a lot of patients with like they call themselves patients. I don't really like the word, but like in hospitals and stuff as well. I've gone in to do a few bits with people who have like what's it called? I now have completely dropped the name, but basically they can't quite control where their like motor functions and stuff go. Parkinson's and stuff as well, or they would have a shake to it and stuff. And I've customized theirs to be like what you're saying with the motor plan. Like, so I can make their icons bigger, so it's easier to tap to. You can change the tap rate, which is like how long the tap has to be, or like can it just be a few seconds if they tap, or do you have to hold it, or like what way it is, so there's not as many like miss hits, if you get what I mean. Also, in terms of layout and like where things are and knowing that it won't change, Tobii is completely customizable to that as well. And that's what I love about it. You can have 2 boxes, you can have 4, or you can have like 30 something on a screen. And then I like the ones that can go to another page. So for our kids, I have like about me, and they'll click on it and then it brings them in and tells them the different bits. And like on that screen, it'll only say birthday. They click that and it'll speak out the full sentence of, my name is CJay and my birthday is the 23rd of July. Or like you can kind of change it in those features, but you can make it really minimalistic, or like have a ton on the screen. My ADHD ed loves like a ton on the screen sometimes, but I have to minimize it down at times to be able to focus and kind of concentrate on certain features. And you can do that and save both, to have both as an option as different core boards or different ways of doing it. So it is possible. It might just not seem that way at first due to like how much you can customize. I don't know if that's helpful, sorry.
That's great, CJay. And can you tell me, I have 2 more questions for you. So one is, can you tell me the name of the school again that you're in SNA?
Ballyowen Meadows Special School up in Loch
Ballyowen Meadows.
Ballyowen Meadows.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. And now another person is saying that their son is autistic, has dyspraxia and dyslexia, and he's in 2nd year in school, so he's a bit older. So he's trying to get him assisted tech. And do you have any advice? So I'm wondering, is it Lady Di is the person asking this question? I'm just wondering, are you talking about computers? Are you talking about pens? Are you talking about the same sort of communication that CJay's talking about with that question? How did you interpret that, CJay?
Yeah, I'm here if she wants to ask me.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, so my son, he has obviously dyspraxia. So the teachers have all said to him that they cannot read his writing, like it's really bad, and that he's going to have problems when he does his junior cert and leaving cert.
Okay. So, and have you an official assessment?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, he got assessed when he was younger, but his primary school didn't want him to get assistive technology because they said once he starts using that, he'll never be able to write. So they were pushing
that was like a face palm emoji now I wanted to do for that one. It's like the biggest myth which comes to assistive technology. It actually like it aids you, and like for me as well, like I thought when I started doing the voice thing, oh, I'll never start writing again, but you do as well, because it's just different parts or different times when you need it. But basically if he has a actual official assessment, he can just bring that into the school, or you can, and just say like he needs these especially for his junior cert, like a scribe. I wish I was diagnosed earlier just simply for the likes of exams and stuff. My writing was fine to read, but it was hard for me to do it, and that can make it really hard. And there's a lot of supports for dyspraxia and stuff as well with in regards to technology, or even like trying to think what they're called. There's other ways around for the handwriting basically, but when they're older and in secondary school and stuff like that, it might not be stuff they might want because of being like seen as uncool or like whatever way you want to say it, like, you know, so the device looks better. Offline, I'd be happy to chat it through with you and kind of tell you how to go about an assessment. If you let me know the school as well, I might know the people in it, but every school tends to have secondary school has, like, in college they're called LSOs, like someone who does like a bit of like AT, or like, I hate the word, like special needs, like teaching assistant type things as well, like but like have that in the school and secondary schools as well, and he's more than entitled if he has an official diagnosis. So I'd get on it like sooner and just say to them you want it, because their advice maybe in primary school was that he didn't need it, or maybe shouldn't use it, but that's just advice at the end of the day. Your choice is what your choice is, and you can say no, I want him to, or he wants to, you know. So
yeah.
And
Yeah,
what
he
was your
does.
experience? Did they secondary school try or say no?
Yeah, so basically they I have a special needs person that I go to, you know, his teacher. She said, look, we'll try the Department of Education, but apparently it's impossible to get it.
My opinion would be go above their head, and I know that maybe sounds rude or something as well, but I just think when it comes to our needs, or someone's as well, like with my sister ranting and advocating for those needs, like, it's like advocacy is so important and it's so hard to do. And sometimes we look like, for my sister, I look like the angry mama bear on something that I was like, no, she's entitled to this and this is how it goes. But that's what we have to do, unfortunately, until Ireland in general, or the world, becomes a bit more known to like how the help that we need to have success the same as our peers. And I think that it's definitely possible. And one way, just as a side note, if it doesn't go as planned with the education department or something, I got our local TD involved that was local to the school, and they were very good at being like, well, this is disgraceful on the educational point, and they said that they spoke to the school basically, and then the technology was allowed to be used. Also, you can say like, we have an iPad, or if you do, or a computer we're willing to use, but can it be used? Because a lot of the time the like excuse, in my opinion, is that like they don't have the money in the budget for this technology, and sometimes you're given a computer that can barely like do anything anyway, like it doesn't even move the mouse or anything, so you're better off having yours. And they can write up a privacy agreement or something with the tech person in the school, the tech teacher, that will basically say that they won't take pictures or record unless given permission. So it's the same in college. We have to sign these waivers, and we have to tell the teacher if we're going to, say, record the lecture just by voice, for everyone's rights and different stuff like that. But there's ways around it basically, even with having your own stuff as well. Or there's live scribe pens. Have you ever heard of those?
No.
They're amazing. It's expensive, but it's worth it. Like, because they've worked out all the kinks and all. Or this Dragon Dictaphone now is worth it. The first couple were not great, so like the more recent ones are better. Basically, you can speak. It can record the whole thing and whatever you write. And then with the live scribe pen, when you click the words written on a normal piece of paper, it'll bring you back to where the recording was in that, and so the teacher could like listen to it or something. So then it's still, he's no different to anybody else in the class. He's still writing if that's something that's for him, and then it's still given the accessibility feature as well to it. There's a lot of ways around it basically, is how I would say, but it's very hard when you don't know them, or the school isn't extremely helpful. That can be really difficult.
Yeah,
So,
schools are not that forthcoming because they are under pressure with so the schools are not getting the resources from the government. And so they're actually very cagey about letting you know that there are resources available. And what I keep encountering myself, both of my kids have AT. They're both dyspraxic and dyslexic. And the school now in secondary is actually quite helpful, but it's a fee-paying school, and so they're probably a little bit more fluid with technology.
Yeah, they tend to be,
But so what I've understood is that there's only a couple a year allocated per school. And then also, I was actually speaking to a lawyer tonight who's going to do a webinar with us for Neurodiversity Ireland on parents' rights. And essentially, like, we get knocked back, like you're just saying there, Lady Di, and Michelle has put it in there as well. You go to the school and you say, can I, or this says it in his report, and the school says, oh, we don't have that. And because we're like, you know, conscious and nice human beings, we go, oh, okay, now what do I do? And really the answer is generally like you actually have to put your foot down and maybe find somebody like CJay who knows the roots. Because with the lawyer I was speaking to this evening was saying that, you know, if you tell the school I need an assessment of needs, I was put off for 3 years. And so he said there's actually a 3-month window in which they have to, and the day one after that 3 months is over, you send a legal letter saying I've actually applied for this, and this is, you know, needs to be, you know, followed through on. And so there's things that we don't know as parents. So he's going to help to educate us a little bit about that. But as CJay was saying there, maybe not necessarily going over their heads, but kind of, I would say, start to come back a little stronger every time and say, I know, I understand the resources are limited, but this is a need and we need to actually see how we can accommodate this. So, and then the other piece about, Michelle, you asked about privately, my understanding from my child's school is that the computer belongs to the school. So it is his computer for the school, and it will belong to the school at the end when we give it back, kind of thing. And it's not to have anything private and no pictures and no YouTube and none of that nonsense on it. That's all for a different computer for him. He will not, like CJay said, he will not use it in school. He's too embarrassed. He doesn't want to look different than any other kids. So the school has let us bring it home, and it is here for him to use as he's getting used to it, so that when it does come to junior cert, leaving cert time, he has access. He's actually ready to use it in that way. So that's kind of the priority with the AT. It is difficult when they can't read their writing, but most of this is organized so that they can actually test efficiently and be on the same level as their peers, is my understanding.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree definitely on what was said as well. Like, and I think even with the going over their head thing, I think it's just, if you've had multiple conversations with a teacher and you find you're not going anywhere with it, I would just advise even just to go to, if they have like an AT department, or it's an LSO, the Learning Support Department, or if they have, or to the principal. That's eventually how I got heard, was by going into the principal and constantly sitting there and was just chill until I was listened to. And my parents wanted to do the same thing, but just didn't have an understanding of the tech bits, or like what she needed as well. And sometimes that's the only way to get heard, and you are seen as that annoying person, but it's worth it when it comes around in the end. And once you get it in secondary, it is so much easier to get it in college, or to get help. Like, don't forget there's the help with the CAO, or like the here and there scheme and everything as well, which is really important, because even filling out that or my Susie grant, I was reduced to tears constantly. But there's actually a way around that people don't realize, is contacting Susie, saying you have a disability, and you can fill it out over the phone with them as they fill it out with you. But that's not something we get told. So unless so unless there's forums and different stuff like this to find out and ask these questions, like, it's hard to know. But I'd be happy if anyone wants to send any of those kind of questions along. I can maybe even point you towards some people who might know some answers or some ways around it, because I think that's what this is all about, right? Like, it's just trying to find ways to work around these things and not just feel like you're in a dead end.
That's awesome, CJay. I might even write to you just some general questions that I know come up, because I follow several forums and I see this coming up a lot, where my school says I can't have it, even though it's in his report. And so kind of knowing the workaround, like you said, I made the choice at a certain point to no longer be the nice mom, but to be the annoying mom. And once I became the annoying mom, like, I don't have a bad relationship with my kids' school, but I'd say they see me coming.
Yeah, and they're like, oh no, that's what they're like with me. Or if during a talk I'm like, excuse me, but they're like, all right. So sometimes you have to be that person though.
Yeah, and I, like, as soon as I let go of trying to be nice, and I'm not mean at all, but I'm polite and firm. That's
you're still polite in it, but it's kill them with kindness kind of thing. I'm just gonna keep coming.
Just be polite and firm, and do not go away. Like, and that I think, and I actually
and always keep a paper trail of everything. If I can advise any advice, that is a big one. And write down anytime you call or you visit, and like, you have these conversations, because then you have proof. Because otherwise they can say, you never asked for that. And trust me, been there on that one, and it's not fun. So having evidence of these things, and we shouldn't have to do it, but unfortunately that's how it is at the minute. So it's just these things to fight for kids or for yourself with these is super important, you know.
It is. It's highly annoying, because we're busy, we're working, we're trying to manage kids that have needs that aren't like within the normal spectrum of things that our other kids need or whatever. And then you're like, and also I have to mind every communication with you and write it all down. I have 13 pages of
add being autistic or neuro-spicy in any way onto that, and I'm like, ADHD says at about 10 o'clock, I was like, oh, I meant to make that phone call. And you're like, it's just even worse. Like, so yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So yeah, we do. We have to be persistent, don't we? We have to just kind of
for
say,
sure.
I'm not going away. You're
Was
amazing.
there another hand on that?
Sorry?
I just thought there was another hand. I thought I saw a little hand emoji thing.
Is anybody else out there wanting to ask a question before we wrap this up?
I'll just say again, the reason I asked what school you're an SNA in, because I think you said that Miles, my son, I was asking about LAMP.
Oh, I know Miles.
Miles is in your school.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. He's only new though to the school, right?
Yeah, he just started. Yeah.
I'm only new technically as well. My dog's like, you got excited. I'm only like newish. I'm there like nearly about a year or so now as well. Miles is in an older class than I'm in the kind of younger end helping, but feel free to drop my name to the school or whatever, and I'd be more than happy to help, because I've been teaching some of the staff and things about some of these technologies, and I'm going to be doing a talk about TD and how to use it, or whatever devices, because that's the main one in our school, just by chance, you know, like it just so happens. That's how it's worked out. But the staff that's in his class, not to mention names or anything like that as well, but like the staff who are in his class are amazing, and they'd be more than willing to kind of work with you on it too. But I don't know if you have any kind of real tech ones in there.
Yeah. Well, look, do you know what I'll do? I'll definitely get in touch and maybe do a consultation with you, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously it's like nothing to do with the school, because the school were very like, we love that you do this, but you have to make sure that people know, even though you work here, it's not to do with them, just in case or whatever. So yeah.
It was more to just say I got, because somebody asked earlier on, said their child is in Ballyone, and then you went, oh. So you'd obviously mentioned earlier. Great. Well, look.
Yeah, cool. Well, good to know. It's nice. It's nice. The connection's always good. Ireland's so small, like.
Yeah. Perfect.
Cool. Well, if there's any other questions, you can let me know. If not, feel free to message or anything.
Sorry?
I was saying, if there's any other questions, if anyone has any, feel free to ask, or you can just message me either. That's absolutely fine.
Great.
That was amazing, CJay. So informative, and your notes are spectacular, because we're always, like I said, racing around trying to keep details. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, folks, if you, those of you that are still here, if you have further questions, or you want a more specific webinar, or something that you're like, there's some burning question and you'd like CJay to go to another level, send it to education@neurodiversity.com, and then I can organize something with CJay for maybe the first part of
totally. I'd be really happy to do one on like how to use the actual devices, like, and then if I have a PowerPoint made, it means that people can maybe at a later stage like look back through it, but I can give little and show kind of what things do, especially with Tobii, because I'm working on a couple of PowerPoints on them. So I'd be happy to, but if the likes of LAMP is more used, I'd be happy to kind of do a bit on that as well. So just give me a shout and let me know.
So good. Thank you so much, CJay, and thanks everyone for bringing your questions and for showing up tonight. The recording will be available to you all for a few weeks, and we'll come back to you again, CJay. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks a million. That was great.
Thanks.